We are all going to age, and that's just a fact. But how you do it is up to you, and we believe you can control it.
Yeah. You know people, and we know people, who seem to get better with age. They get stronger, they get more purposeful, they get more engaged. And you also know those people that seem to get worse, tired, grumpy, inactive, and isolated. I don't understand why you always have to point at me when there's something like that.
Just
because I don't get that way.
What if we told you that you have the power to decide which path you're going to take? Do you want to age gracefully, or are you ready to crash and burn?
And you're doing it gracefully. You are, without a doubt, the most graceful retiree that I know, except for Sam and Natalie.
Right.
So we have neighbors in Connecticut. We had neighbors in Connecticut, Sam and Natalie. We met them 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
They were 88 and 89 when we met them. And they had a wonderful full life. They were in Hartford, Connecticut. They ran a business. They retired. They bought a home in Palm Desert. He was a big golfer. So for 30 years, they'd go there for the winter, and then they'd come to Essex for the summer. You know, Sam was a big golfer, so
he was a huge golfer. Actually golfed at Syracuse, 100 years ago on the Syracuse team.
Walked on the team.
But he ended up quitting golf around 85, I think. But besides that, the two of them would set out on 2 walks a day. She was usually a few steps ahead in her kitten heels and her very smart dark slacks, with her hair done, always well dressed.
He
Clothes
had a
that fit
shirt,
nicely.
a jacket.
Yeah.
They were really cute.
They were very particular about what they ate. They were very particular about their fluid intake and the amount of, he drank Chardonnay, she drank vermouth.
Vermouth, right.
Just vermouth.
The rocks.
A little cup of vermouth on the rocks. But we saw them in Palm Desert in January of 2021, and sadly, they never made it back to Connecticut. And they
After
both,
COVID, yeah.
they both passed away about a month apart,
But
which was very sad.
the reason I bring them up, and we talk about, we have a great photo of the 4 of us, is how they aged so gracefully.
Right.
They never complained. They never felt sad. They always were up about, what was the saying he used to say? Oh, so happy to see you. I hope you have a wonderful day, or something like that.
Yeah, he always had a good tagline.
They were
sure.
great. They were great.
So let's jump into today's topic, aging gracefully. And let's talk about 3 areas of change that we all notice as we age. The first is your physical aging, right? This happens to all of us. By the age of 65, you will have lost between 8 and 27% of your muscle mass.
Yeah, and you start losing your muscle mass at 30.
I didn't know that.
You do. So if you ignore it and don't work out, you're going to have a problem, because your strength goes away, your flexibility goes away. As your muscle starts to deteriorate around your bones, they become brittle. So it's really an important thing to know, particularly at 60 or 65, to fix that, because it's going to happen.
And really, what I did know is before that, women have a dramatic reduction in muscle mass after menopause. Your core muscles start to weaken, you have a harder time getting in and out of the chair, and you just can't ignore this. Stay until the end, because we're going to give you some tips on how to slow down or even begin to reverse some of this.
Yeah.
Physical deterioration.
So besides your body in general aging, your heart's going to age. Your arteries and veins get harder. If you're not eating the right kind of food, and like I grew up with a lot of comfort food. I mean, back in the day, my mother would make fried chicken with Crisco. I mean, that stuff went through my veins, and it caused some damage. Now, your muscles working harder over time, and your heart rate is going to change. So you really got to pay attention to your heart as it ages.
So you have your physical, your bones, then you have your heart, you have your bladder. Your bladder becomes less elastic. You may see that you're starting to need to urinate more. You may even begin to have some leakage. All of this is natural progression in aging.
And you can't freak out about it, because it's going to happen, or it might happen. And if it does, that's the natural course of things. But we want to talk to you again about how to do this gracefully. Hearing's a problem. I recently went to get my ears tested because I thought for sure I was losing my hearing.
Little did they know it was selective hearing.
Well, I can't hear other people too. It's not just you.
Yeah, right.
But I got a baseline. And the baseline is that my hearing was great. And all kidding aside, the nurse did say to me, when do you have trouble hearing? I said, well, my wife might be telling me something. He said, sweetie, you just have to pay more attention to her.
But the fact of the matter is, there are changes as you age in your inner and middle ear that you just have to be aware of. It happens again to everybody. So we talked about your bones, we talked about your heart, your bladder, your hearing, so all of those physical changes will start to occur. Again, stay till the end. We're going to talk a little bit about how to combat some of that.
Right.
But the second big category that is going to happen to everybody is the mental aging process, right? Your brain, your memory starts to fade. It takes you longer to find things in your brain.
We did a video on this because it's a big question a lot of people have. You leave here, walk into the other room, you get in the other room and you think, why am I here? That happens to everybody. And as you get older, it happens more because there's so much stuff in our head. It takes us a while to go back in there and find what it is that we were going in the other room to look for. We'll put the link below for this thing because it's a great...
I think it was Myths About Memory Loss.
Yes.
Was the name of it.
So we'll put that link below. So all is not bad, but as you age, your memory does start to go.
Yeah. Physical aging is going to also spill over into some mental aging. So if you see your athletic ability starting to wane, try some easier sports, or, try pickleball instead of tennis. But that physical aging that we talked about starts to wear on you mentally as well.
I think that's a good point, because if you're a real avid tennis player and you just can't run around as much as you used to, try pickleball. I used to be a big downhill skier, and now a couple reasons. I don't want to get hurt, number one. Number two, I don't like the cold. So
You really don't like the cold?
I do. So we do other sports just to stay active, even just working out.
So again, under the main topic of mental aging, isolation is something to watch out for, for you and your partner. You start losing your friends during the aging process, right? Everyone does. Friends, family members. You start losing the energy to really maintain friendships, which can cause depression, which isn't healthy for your mental aging.
My dad had that list.
I remember.
His 10 best friends, listed them all on a sheet of paper.
Yellow paper, 8x11.
And when I'd go visit him, he'd talk about the ones who were still alive and the ones who died. But as he got older, more of his friends died, and it was so sad for him to have these people not part of his life anymore, but it's what happens.
So continuing under the mental aging, don't give in to watching too much TV or doing sedentary activities, right?
I think that you shouldn't read less in retirement. You should read more.
Right.
Take the opportunity of this newfound 40-plus hours that come your way and read, because you want to challenge your brain. And read about something you're interested in. You can read some novels, which is great. Sometimes I'll pick up a novel. But read something you want to learn something about. Biographies of famous people in the past, because it does keep your brain active.
Really challenge your brain. So that kind of, are some of the high points of mental aging. So the third area that we want to talk about is mindset and superficial aging.
Superficial.
I know you hate that word, but I couldn't think of another word for it.
Mindset is being positive. Superficial, right. I think what you mean is how you look and how you act and how you bring energy to others instead of sucking energy away.
Well, and I think that there's mindset and there's superficial, right? So your mindset is, how are you approaching your activities or your relationships or
your
the people in your life? How
yeah.
are you approaching your, that's a great point. How are you approaching your aging process? If you're not doing it with the right mindset, it's going to spiral backwards on you.
And when you focus on the bad part of your aging, that you can't move as quickly, you can't lift as much weight, you can't climb a ladder anymore, it's easy to become depressed, eat poorly because you're stressed out, and let bad habits sneak into your life.
Well, the first half of this video was all about the aging process in those three critical areas, right? The physical, the mental, and the mindset / superficial. So here are some tips that we can bring into our lives, right? Into our lives to age gracefully through each one of those processes.
So the first thing, increasing your muscle mass and strength. 3 things you can do. Eat more protein, resistance train, and increase your omega-3s. Now, omega-3s are found in salmon, walnuts, and flax seeds. They're anti-inflammatory and can be easily added to your diet. And the other thing is check your vitamin D levels.
So that's 4 things under muscle and strength, really.
Yeah, yep.
That's
yep.
great. So another thing you can do, the second thing is make diet and nutrition a priority for you. Eat enough, eat the right things, and eat an early dinner.
Yep.
3 easy things.
Hydrate. We
The
talk
third
about this
thing,
all the
yep.
time. Half your body weight in water.
Full
I
stop.
need 7 to 8 glasses of water a day to meet my requirement.
The 4th thing you can do to help you age gracefully through those 3 big topics we talked about is get on a sleep schedule. Go to bed at a certain time, wake up at a certain time, and have a fitful night's sleep.
Here's another great tip that I love. Change your wardrobe.
So this is the superficial that I was trying to bring
I know,
in.
change your wardrobe. And you know, for the first Christmas that we were together, you got me a gift certificate for a shopper at Nordstrom's.
I did.
You changed my wardrobe. As you get older and you start to shrink, either shorter or narrower, you don't want to be the guy or the person wearing clothes that don't fit.
Right.
Because you look in the mirror and it just doesn't feel good. So keep your wardrobe up to date.
The 6th thing is sun prevention. Sun is a natural vitamin D, which is really good for you, but be careful. Use your preventative sunscreens and only be outside in the sun, what did we say, 30 minutes a day?
Yep, that's it. To keep aging gracefully, you also want to keep your social interaction with your friends active and healthy.
The 8th thing is go to your doctor. Just go to your doctor, get a baseline, and take the advice they give. So many of our friends, we'll go back to hearing, for example, so many of our friends go to the doctor, they do a baseline hearing test, the doctor suggests a hearing aid, and they say no.
Right.
And then they find themselves out of so many conversations. So visit your doctor is number 8 and take the baseline advice.
And the last one is mindset. There has to be a way for you to get to the point where accepting the fact that you're aging and watching what's going on. But one thing that I do every day when I get up in the morning is I do my journaling. And it's 3 gratitudes, 3 things I'm grateful for, and 1 self-affirmation. That always makes me feel good about myself.
So no matter where you are on your aging journey and no matter what your age actually is, you can take some of these changes, put them into your life, and it will do 2 things for you. Extend your life and improve your quality of life.
Now look, we're all going to age. It's a fact of life. But let's face it with dignity and grace. Let's make some changes so that we all can spend the last decades of our life in the best physical and mental state as we can. Now we hope you found this helpful. Watch this next video, Myths About Aging, where we separate fact from fiction and give you some new ways to look at aging. You're going to love this one.